Hello everyone, welcome back to A Wild Approach. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing my tips for complying with city rules and HOAs with your wildlife habitat. Tip number 1, keep the ditch, road edge, and maybe even your driveway edge mowed by maybe 2 or 3 feet, or leave some kind of small mowed edge to the property to give the feeling of negative space. Sometimes this might be required by your city or HOA, but other times it could just be a good idea to show that, hey, somebody lives here, somebody mows here, but we do have a habitat garden behind that. So this is something I do. I actually, my husband, he mows the ditch area kind of between the road and our road bed. So all along in front of the mailbox, and then he also mows a strip next to the driveway. So this just kind of gives a clean edge. Do I wish we had to do it? No, but it just kind of makes it easier to give the feel that, hey, we're complying with the rules. Tip number 2, get certified. You can certify your wildlife garden through many organizations, and my favorite one currently is National Wildlife Federation. Some cities have exceptions for mowing requirements and plant height limits for properties that display a certified wildlife habitat sign. My city is one of them. At the very least, this would explain to your neighbors or to the HOA what you're doing and that the lot isn't simply neglected or abandoned. It indicates the wildlife value of the plantings and the reason for the way they are arranged. Tip number 3, create visual beauty and interest to add value to the neighborhood. Native plants are beautiful and useful for wildlife too. Tip number 4, add human-made elements like benches, bird baths, fountains, archways, fencing, gates, etc. This is very helpful when dealing with city rules and HOAs because it shows that the garden is being used by humans as well as the wildlife. Fences also help keep the city or the HOA from mowing your garden beds as long as you put the gardens inside of your fence. Make sure your fence follows the rules such as height limits and easements. I like to measure from the street inward the amount of feet I need to stay back from the road and put my fence there. This gives the city the easement they need, and I get to fence in my garden. I only put a few plantings outside the fence, and I keep a mowed edge at the ditch area, as I spoke about earlier, as well as along my driveway. I've also had some shorter evergreen shrubs planted outside the fence near my mailbox for winter interest and to appease neighbors as well. Tip number 5. Get involved in your community or your local HOA. This is optional, of course, but it can be very helpful for making connections and networking in a way that helps your garden stay in good standing with your community. Tip number 6. Maybe find ways to offer garden tours to educate the community about this type of gardening and its value to the larger area. You could set up some kind of tours with groups in your area, or just do small private tours with small groups of people and just show them what you're doing and why you're doing it and what wildlife you are helping. Tip number 7. Try adding nice looking plant labels and talk about your plants in terms of botanical names whenever possible. I don't fully follow this yet. I try to put plant labels now when I add new things, but they're not really nice plant labels by any means. And I don't know all the botanical names either, but I know several botanical names, which comes in handy when I'm explaining what plant is what to certain people who are new to my garden and are just looking at it for the first time. Tip number 8. If you are in a very strict area and it seems impossible to handle, try growing all your habitat plants in your backyard instead. Just keep your front yard a boring mowed lawn if you have to. This would be a last resort if you cannot change the city's mind or compromise with the HOA. This would mean that you've even tried maybe planting shorter native plants and they still aren't approving of it, or maybe you do the Chelsea chop and they still don't like your plantings. This is just a last resort for if you can't grow any of these things in your front yard and they require it to be lawn. Just focus on your backyard, make your backyard an oasis for wildlife, and just keep your front yard a boring mowed lawn if you have to. Tip number 9, fight for change. You just heard tip number 8, and it was kind of sad having to leave your front yard a boring lawn that you have to mow every week or every 2 weeks. Not the best idea. So, if you have to do this, also try to do number 9, which is fight for change. If you have free time, maybe try and fight for changes at the local level. Vote for candidates who care about wildlife habitat and bringing nature home. Connect with local groups like Wild Ones or your local native plant societies to try and come together as a group to fight for legislation that will allow for more wild gardens and plantings of our butterfly and bird friends. Help bring awareness in ways that are legal and that comply with the local ordinances as much as possible. Tip number 10, keep hope alive. I firmly believe we all deserve to live in a society that values wildlife and their habitats. It can be a difficult journey sometimes if you live in an HOA or in the city limits. There can be rules there that might not exist in more rural areas. Do what you can where you live. If there's a height limit on plants, maybe just grow the short native ground covers along with native trees and shrubs. That's still a beautiful place to be and a help to the local fauna. We need all habitat types. Some are in short supply more than others, but we need them all to sustain life. Don't forget to add keystone species and native plants if possible. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this one. Have a great day out there, folks. Bye! You all requested it, and it's finally here. Reduce Your Lawn shirts are now available in my brand new merch shop. Thanks so much for supporting the wildlife habitat we're creating. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylou.com. Thanks for watching!